Ladies and gentlemen, Mela is not ready.
I'm not.
But I'm ready. Are you ready?
Okay, I have like a silly question.
I was asking the audience if they were ready, and they didn't respond, so I'm not sure what to do now.
Morning, afternoon, everyone.
You know, I thought I was going to do the intro, but I guess that works. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Long Way Home, the podcast where if you just want to spend a little bit more time talking to that special someone in your life, or just like a raccoon, then this is the podcast for you, where we talk about random stuff or very planned and organized things, as Mela has over there on her phone.
Listen, that's just the way I am.
I guess that's fair. We've been doing this the past couple of times. I like to start every podcast by just talking about what's happened in the past week for us. What has happened in the past week for you?
I worked an insane amount of hours.
You did.
I think it was...
I barely saw you last week.
I don't know where I was, but I wasn't home.
You know what's funny? Other than sleeping, this podcast session might be the longest period of time that you and I will spend together, just ourselves, since that crazy work week. Because I really didn't see you, because it was either you were working or I was working. It was busy.
I just I picked up some hours.
You're making some bank though.
Yeah, hopefully.
Which is great. You'll pay off my debt and the money I owe the New Hampshire Mafia and all of that good stuff.
I'm actually just paying off the vet bill. That's going to happen later today.
That's true. Poor Sage has to go to the vet because she had a little friend living inside of her.
She's got a little wormy in her little belly.
And her little belly.
And her little messed up belly.
Although she's feeling better. Right?
She is the strangest thing, because the most horrible thing will happen to her and she will be cuddly and joyful and all these things, but she is dying.
That was a rather morbid way to say that.
It was true though. This is a little side tangent, but there was a point in her life last year that the vet was like, if you didn't bring her in, she might not have, made it another day.
That's crazy.
And she was so happy, so joyful. She was throwing up all the time, but she was so happy. She wouldn't eat, but she was so joyful and so cuddly.
She's just living life. Her life was just a vibe.
Her attitude is always amazing.
It's interesting to me to think that because we're humans, we're capable of vocalizing, hey, I need to go to the doctor. I need help or whatnot. But pets, they just have stuff going on and they just react. So they'll just pee themselves, or they'll just throw up, or they'll be tired or sick. But there's no way for them to say, hey, I really need help right now.
You really have to know them.
You just have to know them. My week was a little bit less chaotic. My week was pretty normal. I just got back from the mechanic again because I had to fix my car again, although this is something that needed to be fixed for a while. Ever since the car crash, I had that piece of metal hanging off of the bottom of my car, which was apparently a heat shield for my muffler, which I did some research. It's pretty important. It keeps the car from overheating.
Oh yeah.
And there were times where I would just hear a scraping sound, and I'm used to hearing scraping sounds in my car. It's a quote unquote older car. But I didn't know what it was. And then one day I looked under my car and I just saw a giant metal, think of if you picture in your mind a sheet of metal, a giant sheet of metal hanging off of the bottom of my car. And so I scheduled an appointment at the mechanic for 7:30 in the morning because I'm psychotic. I drop it off at 7:20. So I get there early. And I expect and they said last week, it's just all we have to do is weld the piece back on. Shouldn't take that much time.
5 minutes, right?
And in my head, I'm thinking, well, if I'm booking an appointment at the beginning of the day, no one else is going to be there. Who else is going to drop their car off at 7:30 in the morning on a Tuesday to get something fixed or whatnot? And I had an appointment. It's a place that people can just show up and drop their cars off. So I drop it off. I walk next door to Dunkin' Donuts because I hadn't had breakfast. So I got a bagel and I did work, and I was there for hour and a half, and I looked down on my phone and I was like, man, I've been here for a while and I still haven't heard back. And so then I walked back next door across the street. Meanwhile, it's pouring outside. And I go in and I'm like, hey, any word about my car? And I look through the window and I see my car on the lift. So once again in my head, I'm like, oh, okay, so it's finally on the lift. All they're doing is sticking one piece of metal against another piece of metal and just going, and so it shouldn't take that long.
What were they doing? Can you run that by me again? Cool.
Is that what welding sounds like?
Sure.
I don't know. That's gonna be amazing on when I have to edit this back. That noise is gonna be horrific.
That's why I made you do it a few times.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So I was sitting there in the lobby, and meanwhile, like Captain America or whatever is playing on the TV because they always have like movies playing in there for people who are waiting. And I sit there so long that I get the time warning on my Instagram to pop up because I have the screen time thing, so I don't spend too much time doom scrolling. So I was there for like another 45 minutes before they finally finished my car. And then I drove home.
Man.
And I had to spend another like $80 on my car.
Man.
And so if I calculate the amount of money that I've spent on my car, it's a lot for a car that I'm going to have to pay to replace soon anyways.
I really wish there was just like a tooth fairy that like came by and like while you were sleeping you just put your car keys under your pillow and then the little car fairy comes by and takes your keys
car fairy.
And then just like fixes up your car for you for free, no charge, you never knew it was there or anything.
Okay, no charge. No charge would be a dream come true. And I know we're talking about a hypothetical fairy, but like just imagine you could get your car fixed overnight while you're home.
Yeah.
Like you just drop your keys off, drop off some cash, or you pay in the morning or whatever. But it gets fixed overnight when you don't need your car. Whereas whenever you get your car fixed, it's during the day. And so you're like, crap, I need someone to come pick me up, or I need a ride, or I need to stay here until it's fixed. But if it got fixed overnight, that'd be so cool.
It's like the tooth fairy plus Santa Claus combined for your car.
The car fairy.
The car fairy.
That's going to be the name of this episode. Well, regardless of what we talk about for the rest of the episode, this will be the car fairy.
It's actually what we're talking about.
What?
Yeah.
Did I unintentionally tell a story that was related to one of your questions?
Well, I kind of prompted you to, but sure.
What, fairies?
Yes.
Oh.
Would you like me to ask our first question of the day?
Yes. Do I have a choice?
No.
Why not? I could leave this room.
I mean, sure. Go for it. Ladies and gentlemen, he's still here.
All right, ask the question.
So the first question of the day is, which imaginative character did you believe in the longest?
Which imaginative?
So like Santa Claus, the leprechaun, the tooth fairy.
What do you mean the leprechaun?
The leprechaun in the little stories that like...
What?
Like for St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, but he's not a character.
Yeah, but he like I don't.
What does he do?
I don't remember if it happened in my preschool class, but I saw it during like on TikTok during St. Patrick's Day a few weeks ago. But the leprechaun would like go to all these preschool classrooms and like knock over all the chairs and sprinkle all of this like this gold glitter and like put little candies in their desk and stuff.
What?
Yeah, I don't know.
I've never seen that before.
I don't remember if I experienced it, but it's a very common thing because all the people in the comments were like, wow, I remember this happening. Like this made like my entire childhood.
When I think of like fictional characters, I think of like Santa or Tooth Fairy or like the Easter Bunny or like Mr. Sandman. Those are the only ones I think of. I've never thought of the leprechaun.
Leprechaun and like Cupid and stuff.
Okay, Cupid, sure. Cupid's another one. I can't really think of any other ones to fit this category of question, I guess.
Yeah. I also I think of like the groundhog. Like, I know it's like...
Puxatawny Phil.
Yes.
First of all, can we talk about how Puxatawny Phil is a fraud?
Okay.
That man does not know what he's... It's like 35% of the time he's right. What is the point of that tradition other than... Okay, I guess that's the point of the tradition is we've been doing it for a while. But like somebody check that man into a geriatric nursing home because he can't see for shit.
Okay.
Can you tell I'm really passionate about how Puxatawny Phil is a piece of poop?
No.
Okay, but you're counting him in the sort of...
Yeah, he's just kind of like this... There's like this imaginative story about this character that like your parents like tell you, oh, this is real, this happens, and then, over time you either stop believing it or like there just becomes proof, or like, your parents tell you, oh, mom and dad are actually Santa, or, oh, yeah, the groundhog is fake. Which one did you believe in the longest? Do you remember?
That's a good question. If I think about the ones that I like did believe in, the Easter Bunny, I never really like. I like Easter. We celebrated at my house, and for the first maybe 8 or 9 years of my life, it was more about like the family. And we would paint eggs. Like I'd paint eggs with my mom, and I would just remember waking up in the morning and there'd be eggs hidden all around the house. But I kind of knew that it was my parents. I just could tell by like the candy that they put in it and like where they were hiding the eggs and whatnot. And it was never an issue in my house. Like it was never my parents were like, oh, look, the Easter Bunny. I mean, I'm sure like when I was really little, but as we got older and older, it just became hey, let's do like a fun craft together. And then in the morning we have like a fun scavenger hunt. But it was never about the Easter Bunny, if that makes sense. It was more just like, this is Easter, which I also know Easter is a religious holiday, and so people celebrate it differently. We didn't really celebrate it super like focused on Christianity or whatnot. Oops, I just whacked my computer. We didn't really celebrate it based on Christianity, which I know a lot of people do, but it was just like an excuse for us to get together as a family. Tooth Fairy is interesting because I don't really remember when I lost all my teeth. I lost them when I was really young. I know some kids lose their, like there's a spectrum in terms of when you lose your baby teeth and get your adult teeth. Mine were all super young. I lost all my teeth super young, probably because I was playing a contact sport. And I don't think any of them ever got knocked out by playing hockey, but just that physicality just resulted in them being loose more often than not. We never did like those, I'm sure you've seen like videos on like Vine or, oh God, I just dated myself by saying Vine or TikTok or YouTube or whatever, different inventions people have made. So like slamming a door to rip a tooth out or like an RC car or whatnot. Like we never did that. Mine just fell out.
Yeah.
Which I will say, there are a few things on this planet more uncomfortable than loose teeth. Some people like the feeling. Do you like the feeling of loose teeth?
No, but I really liked like the hole afterwards, like the space being there.
I did not. And maybe this is biased just because I had holes in my mouth after my wisdom tooth surgery, and that made me really uncomfortable. I hated it. I hated losing my teeth. I hated that whole process. I'm like
a fidgeter, so I fidget with things all the time, and so I think like my wiggly teeth, like I'd always like press on them with my tongue, and it just like it wasn't a bad feeling to me, but I didn't like super enjoy it.
Yeah, that puts a shiver down my spine. No, and I think probably when I was younger, we did the whole putting the tooth under the pillow and waking up and finding something. As I got older, in the sense of like, you know, when I reached 5, 6, 7 years old, I don't really think we did that anymore.
Yeah.
So I was Easter Bunny, Tooth Fairy, not really a big thing for me. Santa, have you heard the story of my mom talking about
Yes, I have heard the story.
Yes. Was it around Christmas that we talked about it? I don't remember. So I did believe in Santa, but I was also a pretty smart kid. And so I had a feeling that, you know, I was like, you know, the idea of Santa is great, but also like, I don't know how I feel about this, because I also had friends in school who were dicks and were like, Santa isn't real. I don't remember the moment that I found out that I didn't believe in Santa anymore. I do remember the moment that my mom found out that I didn't believe in Santa anymore. I think we were at CVS or we were at some sort of pharmacy, and I don't remember the story as well as she did. So maybe we'll get her on someday to tell the story. All I remember is that I said something that I guess tripped her up and made her say something about Santa not being real. And then I was kind of like, aha, so Santa isn't real. And she was just like taken aback because she didn't realize that I knew already, because I was still pretty young. And we, as a family, we kept like putting like from Santa on a bunch of our gifts. One, because I had younger cousins and like we wanted to keep that alive for them. And two, because it was just like, it was like a tradition, again, like the Easter Bunny. Like it was just a tradition for us to keep in the house. And it was less about believing in the imaginative character and more just the tradition of how we did things. I don't know. Do you have like a specific moment where you remember that you stopped believing in something?
With my terrible, horrible memory, no, I don't remember like no longer believing in anything except for that damn groundhog.
The groundhog?
The groundhog was the last one that I believed in.
when you say believe, because again, I will try to be as neutral and unbiased because I can already feel the rage sort of building up in me just thinking about that horrific little piece of shit. But what do you mean about believing in the groundhog? Like believing that he was this like mythical creature that could predict how much?
Like believing that his predictions were real every time.
Oh, okay.
And so it was only a couple of years ago. I was at work and I was talking about it. And
a couple years ago?
Yes.
Sorry, did you see how it took a second for me to process that?
So I was probably 18, 19 when I finally discovered that the groundhog did not actually predict things. And I believe I was sitting at work and I was talking about it, and I think I was with my friend Maggie, and I was just talking about the groundhog, and she was like, Carmela, you know that's not real, right? And I was like, no, it's real. He predicts it every year. And so that was the moment that I like finally was like, dang.
So you're in your late teens.
Yes.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So the magic stayed alive for you for a while.
A long time. Did I pay attention to it every year? No. Was it a big thing? No, because in Florida, like, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Winter's
Whereas up here,
over.
it's a quote unquote big deal.
Right. And so I think that's another reason as to why I didn't believe it for so long, is because no one really talked about it. Like, we had Groundhog Day in school, but like it wasn't like this huge thing where like everyone pays attention to the TV and stuff like that. But also I just believe that like traditions in my family and your family, like with on the side of believe, things are different because I am the oldest of three and you are a single child. Right. So I didn't have to believe in things longer, but I had to act as if they existed longer for my younger siblings.
For sure.
So
yeah, and that must have been tough. And like I think of like Cam, and like I didn't really have to pretend around him because I think he probably stopped believing before me.
Yeah.
Just because that's who he is. But I do have some facts about Groundhog Day because I'm so riled up right now.
Okay.
How much do you know about Groundhog Day?
Not much. Not much at all.
Groundhog Day, celebrated annually on February 2nd, is a North American tradition where a groundhog, most notably Punxsutawney Phil, predicts the weather's transition to spring. The groundhog sees its shadow, 6 more weeks of winter follow. If not, an early spring arrives. The custom, rooted in German and European traditions of using animals to predict winter's end, is celebrated with a major event in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. I'd like to pause there before I continue. Notably, German and European tradition, but it is only celebrated annually in North America.
Right.
What does that tell you? That Europe got sick and tired of this fake bullshit pandering to the rodents of America. And so they were like, we move on. We don't need to celebrate this anymore. We'll just live our lives at our own pace. But no, North America is fixated on this little sack of fur and convinced that it has this ulterior knowledge of everything in the universe and is able to predict accurately when spring and winter, like when winter ends. But we know it's not true. We know what the facts say, and facts are facts, and you can't ignore the facts.
I will say, I acknowledge your rage and your feelings are valid. However, I think that you are leaning your anger towards an animal who does not believe any of this. He doesn't even know any of this.
There are no thoughts happening in that head.
It's all the humans.
They take him outside. They put him outside, and they're like, "All right, buddy, you got 30 seconds of outside time before you're locked up for another year." Yeah, no, I know it's not the animal. I know it's not the animal. He's a fucking groundhog. He can't do anything.
A sack of fur.
A sack of fur, exactly. No, so it says origins from German folklore, which they use badgers or hedgehogs, and then the Christian festival of Candlemas. Interesting. I didn't actually know all of this. Punxsutawney Phil, the most famous prognosticator, that's a big word.
Good Lord.
In Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, his prediction is revealed at Gobbler's Knob. Who names things? Punxsutawney, Gobbler's Knob. By the Inner Circle, a group of men in top hats and tuxedos.
Great.
That sounds like a cult that is ruled by a groundhog that knows nothing.
Sack of fur.
You know what's funny is I was full of rage, and now I'm just so intrigued by this group at Gobbler's Knob.
Great.
That's great. No, like, so I knew about Groundhog Day. Like, everyone kind of knows about Groundhog Day. When I think of Groundhog Day, I also think, have you ever seen the Bill Murray movie, Groundhog Day?
I don't think so.
It's icon. You know about it, though, right? Do you know the premise of it? What?
No.
This movie is iconic.
You forget I'm not a watcher of things.
I know, but I used to watch Groundhog Day all the time, and which is ironic because the premise of Groundhog Day is that on Groundhog Day, Bill Murray, the main character, wakes up and he lives the day, and then he wakes up the next day and it's Groundhog Day again, and he relives it over and over again. And people have like theorized that like over the course of the movie, he lives that day like 10,000 or something times. And I don't remember the actual, like what actually happens in the movie. It's just like random series of events. And as like the movie goes on, like he gets better at predicting what's going to happen because it's the same thing that happens every single day. And I think they did like a Super Bowl commercial or something a few years ago because Bill Murray is obviously a lot older now. And they did a commercial with him and like a groundhog as if that was like Puxatawny Phil. And it was really funny. I think, yeah, it was like around, I guess February 2nd's right next to the Super Bowl. So it was around then. But
maybe I need to watch this movie now.
Yeah, we should watch it. It's really funny. It's very funny. It's very akin to like those 80s and 90s comedy films, so like the Adam Sandler movies, the Jim Carrey movies. It has that sort of style of comedy. Bill Murray's been in a bunch of those like comedy movies. I don't really like any of them except for that one. He was also in Scrooged, which I started watching with my parents one year. It's a Christmas movie, and I hated it. It's outdated. Some of it is outdated. I will say with a lot of those movies in like the 70s, 80s, and 90s, you can watch them now and be like, some of the ways that they presented the material might not be suitable for our culture anymore. But I know you had some other questions. Is there a transition into something else related to my rage for Puxatawny Phil?
No, I mean, like, we talked a lot about traditions and like, you know, you said that you would do craft with your family and then you wouldn't focus on like sort of the character, but you would do a bunch of different things with your family just because it gets you together. And you said that was one of the things like that holidays were to you. It's just getting people together. And I agree with that. I mean, my family in Florida was just the 5 of us. So it was just like holidays were just us in the house. And usually we did like a morning thing. And then afternoons we kind of spent like, you know, we either watched a movie or went our separate ways until dinner, just because we didn't have a whole big family down there. It was, our family was up here. And so I was just thinking about, like, what traditions from your childhood do you want to carry into your children's childhoods?
I love that question. That's actually something I've talked about a lot with my parents because we have old traditions from sort of both sides of the family that I'd like to try and continue.
Right.
So, you know, we didn't spend a whole lot of time together, the 3 of us, just because my dad was always working. I was always busy doing something, or I was with Cam, or I was at hockey or music or whatever. So the times that the 3 of us were together in the same room was limited. Around the holidays, we definitely made an effort to see each other. So every Christmas, we would have this party right after Thanksgiving, the Saturday after Thanksgiving, where we would invite family and then like a bunch of friends over to decorate the tree. It was a tradition started by my dad's family, and like he did it with his parents and all of them growing up, and they sort of passed it down to him. And so now we do it at our house. So every year, the Saturday after Thanksgiving, we'll all get together. We'll have sort of a big party. We'll decorate the tree together, and it holds this special place in my heart. Because I would always, so I'd be down there and I'd be hanging out, and then all the kids, we would like go upstairs and we would play like Mario Kart, or we would hang out and play games together. And as someone that like the only sort of sibling I had in my life was Cam, other than that, like I was by myself so much that having that interaction with other people just meant so much to me. And then there's some people that I see at that party, and that's the only time I see them for the whole year. And so for me, like that's a tradition I'd like to keep up, because I feel like after Thanksgiving, you enter that limbo of like, when does the Christmas season start?
Right.
And that party for us was like, this is when we're deciding to start sort of like the wintry Christmas season. So I think that one for sure is a tradition I'd like to keep. I don't know. Do you have any like Christmas traditions like that? I know this year was obviously different because you were up here.
Yeah. I mean, my family are like we do the same thing every year. And so on our things, we set up our tree on Thanksgiving. Like after we, when we would eat our meal, and then we would go our separate ways, maybe watch a movie or something for a little bit. And then sometime in like the late afternoon, we would set up the tree and then...
Late afternoon on Thanksgiving? Would you eat earlier in the day on Thanksgiving?
So we would probably eat around 2 or 3 and then whatever. And then sometime late afternoon, early evening, we would set up the tree. And then after the tree, we would eat pie.
Oh, wow.
And that was like our whole day for Thanksgiving. So, I mean, that's that's a tradition that, like, you know, I would like to keep, but your tradition is very much more, this is a big thing for me. So that's not one that I feel like I need to hold on to. So
yeah, and that like that sounds wonderful, and it's also like you live in a different place now, and so you're a little bit less connected with some of those people. But like this year was really nice because we got to go to Mary's house and we had Thanksgiving with her, and then you came to my house and you sort of experienced my Thanksgiving, which is basically taken the same form my entire life, where we watch the parade in the morning, which my mom is like very, you know, how excited she gets for the parade. And then people will start coming over, and then football like that it's like me, my grandfather, Bill, and my dad. And we all just like watch football. And obviously we do other things, but, I just remember like watching football is like a big thing that we do because we're a big sports family. And then we will have that like giant dinner. And then we will all kind of go into a food coma and do our own things. And then we will kind of have dessert together, and then it'll just be sort of socialization hour.
Yeah.
And then the day after Thanksgiving, usually there's a Bruins game on Black Friday, pretty much every year. And during the Bruins game, my dad and I will like bring the decorations down, and we will set up the tree. We won't decorate it, but we'll set it up so that on the party on Saturday, all we have to do is put all the ornaments and all that on. So I guess like that set of days is a tradition in it of itself. Other than that, like we didn't have any other really big traditions. I think that there's some traditions that I would like to do. I'd like, you know, if get the chance to have kids someday, I'd like to make more of an effort to be engaged with them and engaged in their lives. So being able to have dinner together as a family. But like also not, I also know balancing, one of the big things about traditions is being able to balance what you want and then also what your kids want.
Right.
And so being able to say, you know, here's some things that I'd love to share with my kids, like having, you know, like a routine that we do, like when we eat dinner, or having like a movie night every week or things like that. But then also saying like, hey, your kids, you want to go off and hang out with your friends or do things on your own, you deserve to have that time too.
Yeah.
Because I know that I felt like so much pressure in my childhood of like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing at what times, because it was kind of disjointed, and some nights they would be home and then some nights they wouldn't be home. And so I never really felt like I was able to develop a routine, or at least develop a routine where I was spending time with them.
Yeah.
I would develop routines on my own. But to an extent, I feel like I didn't get that. Like we didn't really have movie nights together until I started to get older. And by that point, I kind of wanted nothing to do with them because I was in my late teens, and no one in their late teens wants really prolonged interactions with their parents, or at least I didn't. I don't know about you. But no, I love to like create traditions. If I think about the traditions that we have, it's really more around the holidays. The only other tradition I can think of is on New Year's. My parents, which is kind of sad how this became a tradition, but my parents would always kick me out of the house whenever they were having parties. And so they would invite like all of their adults friends over, and then they would say like, hey, you have to go over to your grandparents' house or go over a friend's house or whatnot. And so as a kid, it would always be, I would go over to my grandparents' house. My granddad and I would stay up watching TV pretty much up until the ball dropped. But that late at night, you know, that was back during the cable TV era. There weren't a whole lot of things on, so it was usually the same things every year. So like Three Stooges reruns would always be on. Guy Fieri Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dines would be on. Sometimes we would watch like old movies, like almost black and white movies together, and then we would watch the ball drop together. And it would kind of be a challenge to both of us of like, all right, are we going to be able to stay up? I'll tell you, there were many times when I was able to stay up and he would he would just be snoring in the corner, and I'd have to wake him up. But that like became a tradition to where I started to want to go and see my grandparents instead of it being like, oh man, I have to get kicked out of the house because my parents are throwing a party. It was like, no, like I get to go spend New Year's Eve with my grandfather, which is why when I went to France back in 2024, 2025, I was there for New Year's, which meant I got to spend New Year's with him again. We were in France. And so that was cool. Just being able to have that experience just in like a different way.
Yeah, definitely.
And then New Year's this year was a little bit different because we had it here. And so like that was like a different tradition, and that was also fun. So I'm someone that can be flexible when it comes to traditions, and I'm always open to creating new ones because they're special. And I think traditions are, when done the right way, they can build like really great memories, especially if they come out of like a nothing memory. So me getting kicked out of the house, like that became a memory with my grandfather. So yeah, I think that is my very long-winded answer to that.
I think if there's like, going back to Thanksgiving for a second, I think that there's one thing on Thanksgiving that like I don't think I could live without if like we didn't do like, say we have a family and we have kids, like there's one thing that I don't think it'd be Thanksgiving without it. And so my dad would always make a turkey. Like he would go buy a turkey, he'd make it, he'd cut it, whatever. And he'd save the wishbone and he'd let it dry while we were eating dinner. And then he would have like one of us, you know, like how you snap a wishbone and whoever gets the longer piece makes a wish or whatever.
Nope.
What?
I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't even know what a wishbone is.
So there's a look it up. There's a wishbone in a turkey. And so when you're carving the turkey, you can save the wishbone and you let it dry out and you finish the day or whatever. And then at the end of the day, my dad would take one end of the wishbone and one of either me or my siblings would take one end of the wishbone and we'd pull it apart, and whoever got the longer piece got to make a wish. And so every year it would bounce between the three of us, like who got to make a wish. But it's something that happened every year without a doubt. And like as siblings do, we'd always fight about like, no, it's my year. No, it's my year this year. And so like it got to the point where we just forgot whose year it was, but it was always like we were so excited. Like that was a part of the day that had to happen.
Oh,
so
yeah. That's absolutely something that, and like that's a nice thing about traditions is there's ways to work it in without it like getting rid of the traditions from the past. Like there's ways to sort of mesh them together. So like something like that is not small in the sense that it's insignificant, but small in the sense that it's pretty easy to incorporate into our day.
Right.
And I love that. Like that's so sweet. And obviously like you have some memories from it. And I've never heard of it before.
Yeah.
And that's another great part about traditions is especially when you're merging, you know, a family with someone is you get to bring traditions from two totally different perspectives. So I did look it up. It says the Thanksgiving wishbone tradition involves drawing the V-shaped furcula bone from the turkey, after which two people each hold one end, make a silent wish, and pull it apart. The person holding the larger piece, the lucky break, is believed to have their wish granted, a custom originating from ancient Roman beliefs or in Roman traditions.
See, we did it a little bit different then, because whoever got the longest piece got to make the wish.
Okay, so whoever got the longest wish. Wait.
Whoever got the longest piece of bone got to make a wish.
Yeah, that's what it says.
But that one said that you make like the wish before and then you pull it apart, and whoever gets the longer piece, theirs comes true.
So there's no premeditation. It's like if you get the larger piece, you have to be like, oh, okay, so
now I get to make a wish.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I mean, both of them are very similar,
yes,
but I see what you're saying.
Yes.
Great.
I think there's one other tradition that stands out from my family. And it wasn't like holiday related. It was something that happened almost every day. Something like when we ate dinner. So my parents were very much like we ate dinner together every night as much as possible, especially after my dad stopped working the job that he was doing because he would work from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. whatever, or like we just never saw him. And so when he started a different job and working different hours, then we were able to have dinner together a lot more. And so I think my parents tried to took the opportunity and made it a little specialer and a little more special. A little more special. And so every time we ate dinner together, my parents would ask what a good part of our day was and what a bad part of our day. And so every time we would sit down, we would start eating whatever. And then one of my mom or dad would go, all right, good parts, bad parts. And then we would just go around in a circle. So
I like that because I like the idea of being able to have like a space where our days are crazy, you know, our schedules are not lined up, but having a time where we can like debrief as a family, I think is a great idea. and being able to be flexible with that too, because there might be some nights where it can't happen, but the nights that it does happen is sort of cementing that in tradition. And like, especially where right now you and I work these crazy schedules where when we work 12-hour shifts, there really is no breakfast, lunch, or dinner. It's like we eat when we can at work. We wake up in the morning, we go to work, we get home, we shower, and we go to bed.
Maybe for you, I eat breakfast every morning, and that's one of those traditions in my life is breakfast.
Well, I mean, yes. So I eat breakfast, but not in the sense of like we get to sit down and eat at our own pace and we get to watch a show or talk. It's like, no, we're just like eating, going to work. Yes. No, but I see what you mean, for sure. But that would be lovely. That would be something that I think would be great to work in. And being able to also eat in like the same space, because I felt and this was more relevant to the house that we live in now, where we have like the kitchen area with the island and whatnot, and before that island existed we just had a counter, and sometimes like our version of eating dinner as a family is we would like stand around the counter and eat, and because we were standing and uncomfortable we would just try to eat as fast as possible, and it was less about spending time together and more like, hey, we're eating together, and then we would go off and go our separate ways. So I think having a place where we can sit down and be like, this is like our dinner area, this is where we're going to eat together.
It was funny because my siblings and I hated doing it. Like we would always fight about like, I don't want to go first, someone else will go first, dad has to go first, whatever it was. And like now I look back and it's just something that happened.
Yeah, and I think that goes along with the idea of also wanting like to work our kids into it, to make them feel like they are a part of the tradition without it becoming too tedious or too much like a chore.
Right.
Because there are going to be chores, right? There are going to be things that they don't want to do that they have to do. But spending time together, if there are ways that we can make it not be a chore, then I think we're making the environment safer and more welcoming for them, which is I think something that both of us would like to have.
I agree. There wasn't like a tradition, but it was something that we had every year for Christmas. Is as each of us were born or added into the family. I don't remember if it was like when we were born or like, you know, when I was 3 and my brother was whatever, she started this, but my grandma like hand made us stockings, and every year we had the stockings, and we would always, those were the one thing we were allowed to open before our parents woke up, is we could always open stockings, and then when our parents came down, then we would do the rest of it. But it was so much of a thing that when I moved here, my mom sent me my stocking.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, that is actually sweet.
Yeah, I mean, so it's funny that you say that, because my grandmother is a big sort of quilter and a big crafter, so she makes things for us all the time. And so the stockings that we have, I don't think the stockings that we use now were made by her, but we have a bunch of stockings that she did make for us. And a lot of like the quilts and blankets around our house are made by her. And then a lot of the plates and silverware and the other things that we use for Christmas are from my mom's grandmother, and a lot of that was sort of from her family and from her house. And it's nice because around that time of the holiday, you can see like all the different pieces that come from different parts of your family that sort of keep getting passed down, and it's great because then you can share those stories with the next generation or with friends or family that come over that don't know it. You can be like, yeah, this was passed down from this person, it was passed down from this person, and it almost gets to the point where every year that we put ornaments on the tree, it gets harder and harder to decorate the tree because we just have so much stuff from years past.
Yeah, every year that we did ornaments, my mom would go to like Michael's and get one of those ornaments that had like a little, it was like the face was the child's face, but then the rest of it was like a princess or a reindeer or something. And every year we had one for each of us, and it had like our name and then the year. And it became such a big thing that like our dogs also had them too. So like Broccoli had a few on the tree, and, so Frank had a few on the tree.
We had ornaments for everyone. We had ornaments for everyone in the family. We had ornaments for pets. We even had like a stocking for Katie. So Katie was my dog growing up, and we would always fill up her stocking, sometimes to the point where we had more presents for Katie than we did for either one of our parents. And it became this thing where Katie was a wonderful dog. And I don't think I've talked about Katie that much on this show. Like, I don't think you've talked about Broccoli that much. We should have an episode for pets to talk about pets. But Katie was such a lovely dog. She was so sweet. One of the kindest animals you would ever meet, except if you put a squeak toy in front of her. And I'm sure like so many dogs do this, she would make it her personal mission to find the heart, this very soul, the breathing life force for that squeaker toy and rip it out in the most violent and brutalistic way possible. And so every year we would get her sort of the same toys, whatever, and we would unwrap it with her where we would sort of pull it a little bit and we would have her sort of bite it and pull it back. And she would get so excited. She'd see like a new treat and we would give it to her or whatnot. We'd get her a new toy. And then it would get to the point where the squeaker toy would come out. And I think the most memorable one that I can think of was a burger. And so it was a stuffed burger with a squeaker toy in the middle. And I was like, this is hilarious because she's going to rip this apart and it's like a food item that like we would eat. But she destroyed it. And it was within seconds. It was like we opened it and then we were busy opening something else and we looked back and there's just white fluff everywhere. So she was a black lab, but as she got older, we used to call her Blackbeard. One of her nicknames was Blackbeard, but as she got older and older, her black on her chin turned to gray. So then we called her Graybeard. But we looked back over and there was white fluff hanging from her chin and it looked like she just had a white beard and it was hilarious. And it was like she looked so guilty because the murder was right there. Like the blood is on the floor, the dead body is right there, and she's just sitting there with the murder weapon with the fluff hanging out of her teeth. And no, it was hilarious. And so it got to the point where we were like, all right, when we buy her a squeak toy, we bring it out into the kitchen where there's hardwood and it's easier to clean up because if we do it on the carpet, some of that fluff is
in there,
gets shoved in there. But yeah, and so that also kind of became a tradition. Like stockings, we would always do stockings early in the morning with just us because then we would have like the entire family over and open presents. But stockings were sort of like an intimate thing where that would be when we gave each other more like intimate presents. And every year, at least since like I had a bank account and could actually get proper presents for people, I always get the same people, the same types of things. So you've been to my house, you've seen our basement is what we like to call Mantown, which it's where all of our like sports memorabilia is. Whenever my mom would want the living room to herself, she would kick us downstairs and my dad and I would watch sports games downstairs. So we have like a wall of Patriots stuff, a wall of like Red Sox stuff, and we have a giant wall of Bruins stuff. Every year I get my dad something from the same store. It's a store in Manchester, where there's like signed photos of like Bruins players, Bruins pictures and whatnot. And I don't remember when it became a thing, but now because I've done it so many years in a row, it's not even like, he's bummed out because he's like, oh, I know what this present's going to be, but we both look forward to it because he's like, all right, what player are you going to get me this year? So like this past year, I got the really great chance where Morgan Geeky, who is having like an incredible year for the Bruins, a player that we didn't expect to play well, went to the shop the day before and signed a bunch of memorabilia. And so I was there earlier in the year and I got him to sign a picture of himself. And so he signed, and it was the first time that I like actually got a player to sign something for my dad. And I remember I was so excited to give him that gift. But like, so I get him that every year. I get my mom like a spa gift card every year because like she loves that. My grandmother loves like little handmade things, not like handmade things that I get, but she loves like going to vendors and finding like these little crafty things. So that's what I always get her. My granddad, it's either like a baseball cap or a new coffee mug because you get that man a coffee mug and he will just be the happiest person on earth. And so I think things like that always made me happy because there was nothing more stressful for me than Christmas shopping because I would have this big list of people that I need to get things for. And even though I know them super well, it's like, great, well, what am I going to get this person this year? Like I haven't been around them. I don't know what they want or need. But then I sort of developed a repertoire of like, okay, I've gotten this from them in the past, so I can get something like this. And it doesn't have to be the same thing, but it can be along those lines and they'll still like it. And that I think made Christmas shopping a little bit easier for me. That kind of worked its way into our traditions as well.
Yeah, we are very different in that way because I am I am a gift giver. I like giving gifts. If you can't tell yourself.
Yes, I can. I have a giant box of gifts you've given me up there.
But even like just small things too. Like I don't know. I like to make things and create things and.
I wish I was as artsy and creative as you are. I'm just not. I was so bad at art in school. Elementary school, I remember I would always get so anxious and nervous whenever we had to go to art class because I just didn't like it. And I liked our art teacher. She was the sweetest person on the planet. But I was so bad at like physical art. And I did not do well in that class at all. And then when I went to middle school, we were sort of required to take like an art class, a gym class, whatever. But because I was in band and I was in something else that took up like one of our unified arts classes, I never took an art class the entire time I was at middle school. And then when I went to high school, I was required to take an art class, but I filled the like arts requirement by doing a music class that was sort of like a creative music class. And so I got out of doing art. So ever since elementary school, I've been lucky that in like college, I haven't had to take an art class. So I've been lucky that I didn't have to do art and that's probably why I suck. I should have practiced art a little bit more. I like to draw. I like to draw on my own. Like I have a sketchbook where I like to draw. Other than that, I've always been bad at arts and crafts.
I don't really remember a lot of my like elementary school art classes, but I remember in middle school I didn't do like art like painting or anything like that because we were an arts school, like we were a school of the arts, like we were very performative. But instead of that, I did musical theater, and then I also did digital art, so I did a lot of Photoshop, and I was certified in Photoshop too for a while.
Yeah, I've had to learn graphic design just doing YouTube and doing stuff online, so I like to do that. And, all of the schools I've been to, like our high school is huge with music and performing arts and musical theater. And our college, while it's not known for music, has a fantastic music department. And so that was like my way of engaging with the arts. But you said, so your was it your middle school and your high school?
So yeah, for middle school I did that. And then when, like also in middle school over the summer, I taught, I was part of a summer camp and I was the art teacher for the summer camp.
Oh wow.
So I wasn't like officially, but like the usual art teacher that did it every year had to step back for a little bit. So she was like, "Hey, you want to fill in for me?" And
Did you
I was
get
like,
paid more for that?
"Sure." No, it was completely volunteered.
Wow.
I know. And then
what a kind soul you are.
I know, dealing with all these children. I'm sure I have pictures of it somewhere, but I remember we did a lot of stuff with dinosaurs. I'm pretty sure it was like a dinosaur themed year or something. And then in high school, I did art, like it wasn't required all 4 years, and I did art the first year and maybe the second year. I don't remember a lot of it because a lot of it was COVID for me.
Right.
So the only time I remember doing art in high school was my first year, and that's how I met my friend Liz.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You are really good at it though. I will say like all of the things you've made for me and all the things that you draw and like the things that you do with the groups at the hospital that we work at. Incredible. I'm always impressed by your creativity.
I'm really bad with like realism, but like little like the paper that I made you with like just like the block objects, I don't know, it just makes sense in my brain.
No, and it looks great.
Well, thanks.
I'm gonna have to use you for creative. Maybe I'll have you do some designs for me, and I can graphitize them, graphitize them. Digitalize them. That was the word I was looking for. Thank you for helping me with that. And thank you for listening to this podcast. Yeah. It is that time.
I hope that this podcast becomes a tradition in someone's week.
Yeah. And you know what that tradition could cause someone to do? They could
listen to it for a long time.
Yeah.
A long time.
That's what I was going to say.
The long way home.
Oh. You got there in the end. I was going to try and jump in, but I was like, nope, she'll get there. The brain will get there eventually. Thank you guys for listening to another week. Not you. You don't listen to these, do you?
Actually.
Oh.
Yesterday on the way to work, I listened to our last episode.
Oh, so the one I said I was going to show you?
Yeah, because you never showed me, and I was like, I wonder what he was talking about. And then I listened to it, and I couldn't figure it out what you were going to talk about.
Oh, well, anyway. Was it a good episode?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys should listen to it.
Go and listen to all of them. And you know what else you should do when you listen?
Take the long way home. Don't poop your pants. Don't get in a car accident. And just enjoy life. Those
were all good suggestions. I was thinking more along the times of like, comment,
No.
subscribe, you know, all those
say
things.
insignificant things.
Insignificant things. You should focus more on not pooping your pants
Yeah.
because that is the
Or
ultimate
crashing your
goal
car.
in life. Yeah, exactly. Thank you guys. I hope you have a nice week, and we will see you, or I guess hear you, next week.
No, we won't hear them or see them, but we'll talk to them.
Oh, that's right.
You'll hear us.
I guess we'll be the voices, the voices in our own heads talking to nothing.
You'll hear us next week.
You'll hear us next week.
Bye.
Goodbye.